What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel, and welcome back to part 2 of this video. If you haven't seen part 1, make sure you click the video in the top right corner to go and watch part 1 of this video. But like I said in part 1, the video was very random and spontaneous, so there wasn't that much information in it other than it's nice. So I thought, let me do a part 2 and kind of give more of an in-depth experience on, you know, my experience in the Yaris GR. As always, before you watch this video, make sure you drop a like, drop a comment, and drop a subscribe. And also, if you've watched my how to watch movies in your car video and you're having trouble still watching movies in your car, then make sure you follow me on Instagram. It should be in the bottom left, or it'll be down in the description below. And DM me there, because obviously I use Instagram a lot more than I use like YouTube comment section. So it'll just be a quicker response time than it will be in the YouTube comment section. So yeah, follow me on Instagram. FA57KXR is going to be in the bottom left, and it's going to be in the bottom section down below. And yeah, let's get rolling fast, gang. Alright, fast gang, so basically what we're going to be doing in today's video is, I guess, comparing the Yaris GR to the current car I drive. I kind of do this all the time when I review cars. I'm usually just kind of compare it to what I've been driving. At the moment, you guys should all already know by now, it's no surprise I drive a Mercedes-Benz. It's a A200 Premium Plus package, AMG line. If you don't know about that, click in the top right. And yeah, just go watch my review on that car. It's super interesting to compare these two cars because, well, I'll give you the stats on both the cars and I'll tell you why. For one, they're both hatchbacks, but they're both completely different hatchbacks. So yeah, let's go over the stats of the cars. Okay, real quick, fast gang, just had to interject real quick. I was just going over the stats and double checking the stats on that I had for both the cars, and funnily enough, the stats I had for my car were actually wrong out of the two cars. So that's why I'm just cutting in here real quick to give you the correct stats. The correct stats for the car, because the ones I had were wrong. So yeah, we're just gonna jump straight in. The stats for the Merc are: it's 33 grand, brand new, right? It's 161 brake horsepower, top speed 140. It's front wheel drive only, and the engine is a 1.3 litre 4-cylinder. Now, I actually thought it was a 3-cylinder till I did my research once again. Me and Mass both thought it was a 3-cylinder. I don't know why we thought it was a 3-cylinder. I don't know who told me or us, but for some reason this entire time I had thought it was a 3-cylinder. It's actually a 4-cylinder, so that's why I'm here to correct that mistake. So that's super weird. And then straight into the Yaris now. The Yaris is 33.5 grand brand new. So for £500 extra, you can get the Yaris. £500 cheaper, you get the Mercedes. So 33.5 grand for the Yaris. 261 brake horsepower. Top speed 143. So just a little bit faster on the top speed. It's all-wheel drive, but it can also be front or rear-wheel bias. But I'll talk a bit about that later on. But yeah, all-wheel drive. And it's a 1.6 litre 3-cylinder, so that's interesting as well. Also, when I was driving the car, when I was reviewing the car, I actually had no idea that, like, what kind of a special car it was. I was just like, oh yeah, it's a Toyota, it goes vroom, so let me go drive it. But yeah, I watched a couple of reviews and, like, yeah, apparently it's kind of like a big deal, so that was very interesting. Shouts out to D for letting me drive in that. I just want to throw that in real quick. I had no idea what kind of car it was. I literally just wanted to drive a car that was faster than mine. And yeah, they're actually only making 25,000 of them, so yeah, that's super duper interesting. A little fun fact to just throw in there real quick. But yeah, straight back to the video now. So now when it comes to comparing the two cars, in short, I would pretty much say, if you're more of a petrol head, you should probably go for the Yaris GR. I would say go for the Yaris GR. If you're more of like a regular, casual, you don't really care about cars that much in that way, the Merc's probably better for you, because, well, Merc is more of a luxury brand, isn't it? So once again, when it comes to the looks of the two cars, I have to give it to Merc. The Yaris GR, the face of the Yaris GR is so crazy. I can't get over it. Like, I was so surprised when I saw it. It looks so aggressive. But if I was to go with overall looks, I would probably have to give it to the Merc. Because you have to include the interior as well. If you haven't seen before, go watch one of my previous videos. I've reviewed this whole car, and you can see the amazing, you know, interior on the Merc A-Class. It's so crazy. Yeah, when it comes to just the looks, you kind of have to give it to the Merc. Like, you just kind of have to. The Yaris interior is not even bad, because I reviewed a Toyota Aygo. It wasn't a Yaris. In my last video, I said it was a Yaris. I reviewed a Toyota Aygo a couple years ago. I think it was like 3 years ago, and I was not digging the interior at all. It was just, yeah, it was just shit, to be completely honest. I didn't like anything about that car, if I was to be completely honest. I didn't like anything about that car.
But when you look at the Yaris now, it's like I was actually digging the interior. Like there was nothing bad with it. It was super. Obviously, it wasn't the Merc, but it was super lit. Steering wheel was lit. There was some soft touch leathering, all kinds of stuff. It had part Alcantara, so it was actually really nice. And it had the bucket seats. It was super cool. I think my favorite thing inside the Yaris would probably be the steering wheel. It was a really, really, really nice steering wheel. The only one thing I would say is when I got back into the Merc, I preferred the Merc just a bit more. Yeah, just a tiny bit more because it was slightly thicker. I said that about the BMW when I switched from the BMW to the Merc. It was slightly thicker, so I preferred that. But yeah, other than that, there was nothing wrong with the Yaris GR's interior. So yeah, the Yaris GR interior was pretty sweet, but it just couldn't compare to the Merc. Yeah, like nothing really compares to the Merc, if you're being honest. Like I've seen the new BMW interior and the new Audi's interiors, and I still don't think it compares to the Merc. So it just is what it is. But when you start looking at the performance and all that kind of side, like it's just no question. Like the Yaris got 100 brake horsepower more than the Merc right off the bat. Similar size engines. Obviously the Yaris is slightly bigger, but you're pulling way more horsepower from it, and then you've got a lighter car as well, and it only costs you $5,000 more. Do you see what I'm saying? Now the dope thing about when I drove the Yaris is literally as soon as I got out of the Yaris, I jumped straight into my car, and there was a few things that I noticed instantly. Like the first thing I noticed instantly was the steering is way lighter in the Merc. Now to be fair, I do drive my car most of the times in eco mode, so it could just be that. But also at the same time, I drove the Yaris always in like normal mode, and it was just always way more just, I guess, tighter, which kind of makes sense because it's a performance car. You don't really want to have, I guess, a loose steering. The steering was way more just interactive and sharper than it was in the Merc. I complained about that before because jumping from the 1 Series to the Merc, I felt that as well. And obviously now going into a performance car, it would only make sense for it to be, you know, way more sharper, responsive and just precise. But yeah, so that was the first thing I noticed. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I guess it just kind of depends on who you are. Like I was saying, this is kind of more of a regular person's car, so you're probably not going to want to always be, you know, super engaged in your driving. With me, I can just like, twiddle this with my finger and drive around corners and stuff just using my finger. You're not really going to want to do that in a performance car because you're going to want to really take on the driving. Do you see what I'm saying? So once again, I guess it just kind of depends who you are and what you're looking for in a car. That's what I was saying earlier. If you wanted just a kind of more regular car, you would get the Merc. If you wanted a performance car, you would definitely go towards the Yaris GR. So that was the first thing I noticed in this car. As soon as I got back in this car. And then the next thing I noticed was, weirdly enough, the visibility. Like, I think it's got something to do with the sunroof, but as soon as I got into this car, it just felt so much lighter and just more visible. Also, part of the problem could have just been the anxiety of driving someone else's car, because like I said, it's not my car. I wanted to be obviously respectful and, you know, drive the car properly. So maybe I just had like anxiety of just protecting the car, if that makes any sense. Because even when it came to like doing meetings and stuff with other cars, the car felt bigger than it actually was. Because I know that car is smaller than this car, but when it came to doing meetings and stuff, I was getting scared. I'm like, oh, am I too close to the car here? Am I too close to the car over here? But with my car, like, I just know the car size. I can just, once again, drive with one finger, one hand, whatever. So it was very, very interesting to see that. I felt like there was way more visibility as soon as I got into this car. I do think it's mostly to do with the sunroof, but I think a part of it was also just the anxiety of it not being my car. So that was very interesting to see as soon as I got back into my car. The infotainment couldn't match, but I'm not too worried about that. I kind of expected that. You kind of want to focus more on the drive of the car, and that's one thing I noticed instantly when I got in that car. When I got in that car, I didn't connect my phone up to the Bluetooth. I 100% remember the first day I got this car, the first thing I did, I remember, is I hooked up my Bluetooth and I listened to Starboy by the Weekend. I remember that 100%. So that kind of just goes to show, you know, how different cars have different purposes. I knew what kind of car I was getting into when I got into this Merc, and then I also knew what kind of car I was getting into when I got into the Yaris GR. And pretty much for the whole time I was driving the GR, I didn't hook up my Bluetooth. So, you know, I was just kind of interested in driving the car, feeling the car, and listening to the car as well. So that was very, very, very interesting. And of course we can get into things like the performance of the two cars. Of course, obviously, my car can't compete. Like, the numbers itself should tell you that. But it was dope feeling how fast it actually did feel compared to this car. And don't get twisted, like, this car is not no slouch. Like, obviously in the grand scheme of things, yeah, it is, but like, this car, like, when you're driving it, you do feel some sort of sense of speed. You do feel, you know, like, when you're picking up, etc, etc, especially when you're driving it in sports mode, etc, etc. Yeah, it just couldn't compete. Like, it just didn't ever compete. Like, I felt like I was somewhat kind of flying in the Yaris. And once again, going back to the previous video, I only drove it in sport for a bit. The majority of the time I drove it in normal, not even sport and not even track. So that just goes to show, once again, I drive this mostly in eco. I've driven it in comfort and sport as well. But in eco, you don't really get that sense of speed as much. Comfort you kind of do, sport you do as well. But like I said, like, it just feels way, way, way faster when you're inside the Yaris as opposed to when you're inside here. It's so crazy how two different cars can just feel two completely different ways, even though they're around the same price point. It's so interesting and so weird to see how and where, I guess, car manufacturers spend their money. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you feel the lightness in the car, you feel that you're light and you're picking up a lot quicker. Like, the car's just always ready to move, it's always ready to go. So yeah, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my car for another drive and see if anything else just comes back to me. Obviously in that video I didn't really drive with the camera because, once again, it's not my car, I didn't want to be stupid, etc, etc. But this is my car, so I can drive and have the camera on and concentrate and multitask at the same time. So I'm gonna take this out for a drive real quick and see if anything else comes back to me, and then yeah, I'll just talk about it on the video before we wrap up. And yeah, let's get rolling. So yeah, I've just been driving around for a bit, and automatically it's kind of the same things I've been saying before. Like, I feel like, number one, I'm just way more comfortable in this car. Once again, it is my car, so that does make sense, and I can be just a bit more sloppy with my driving. I don't have to pay as much attention to, like, the road and actually driving. Another thing is, the Yaris GR is it's a manual, and obviously this is an automatic, so that's one thing. Obviously in manuals you got to kind of pay that slight bit more attention because you're switching gears yourself. You know, you got to do your whole clutch thing. This is why I hate the A-Class. The whole clutch thing. You gotta do your whole clutch thing. In this, it's automatic. You'd have to worry about the gears unless you're shifting with the paddles. But yeah, I don't feel no way. I don't feel anxious. I feel like I can see everything. I feel like the visibility is super good in here. I'm definitely gonna have to give this the visibility over the Yaris. We've got some speed bumps here. You're gonna hear the A-Class go over the speed bumps. There you go. Always hits. That was 15 miles an hour. I definitely could have did way more in the Yaris or the GTI I drove. But yeah, as a whole, this is definitely way easier to drive. The Yaris isn't hard to drive. I was obviously slightly pushing it because, I mean, what would be the point of driving the car if I was just gonna drive it like a grandma? Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm gonna put this in comfort. But yeah, like, this feels more like a gradual kind of build of power. But in the Yaris GR, like, you can feel the car, like, trying to actually go faster. Like I'm not trying to push the car that hard, and the car's just kind of reacting in that kind of way. It's kind of, it's just chilling, it's gradually getting faster. If I was in the Yaris GR now, like, you would feel the car actually trying to, you know, proper start to move. It's actually trying to go, do you see what I'm saying? So yeah, it's just smooth. Like, it's in comfort, it's doing what you would expect a car to do in its comfort normal mode. In the Yaris GR, like, it would be trying to move. It would be like this car in sport. Let me put it in sport and see. I could even be wrong about that. So we're in sport now. Yeah, this is kind of how it would feel in the Yaris GR now that I'm in sport. Like, I can feel the car wants to go now. I can feel it wants to really kind of move. And that's just in its normal mode, let alone sport and track. So yeah, this is definitely way less interactive. I've driven cars more expensive than the Yaris GR, but they were also not performance cars, and even they don't feel as, you know, hands-on, because that's just not what the car does. Like I was saying, the Yaris GR, you kind of always want to pay attention to it because you can be on the gas quite light, but it wants to go, it wants to move, it wants to do something. I've driven S-classes, C-classes, Range Rovers, and I can be kind of the same. Like, I don't feel as, and by the way, these cars are also bigger than the Yaris GR, obviously, but I feel kind of just chill just driving them. Maybe down tight roads in a Range Rover or an S-Class, yeah, you're gonna want to pay more attention, but just in general, it just, yeah, you can just kind of chill, just get on with it. Now, once again, going back to that point I made earlier about the steering, so I'm driving it in comfort now, and the steering is definitely way lighter than it is in the Yaris GR. 100% way lighter. I was saying I thought it could just be because it was in eco mode, but no, this is definitely lighter in comfort mode than the Yaris GR is in normal mode. 100%. Let's go sport now. Yeah, this is still lighter, I think. Yeah, I think this is definitely still lighter than the Yaris GR is in normal mode. So again, something that you're gonna want more from a performance car than you would from, you know, a regular car. Yeah, this is way lighter, 100%, yeah. You wouldn't want steering this light in the Yaris GR, like, you just wouldn't, or in a performance car, like, you would, the kind of base level steering you would want would probably be this in sport mode. And you can definitely tell that, like, this is very light. Especially for sports mode, yeah, 100%. And then that goes into what I was talking about when it came to precision, how heavy the steering felt and how interactive it felt. Like, this all kind of feeds into it. Like, you don't get as much weight or precision or interactivity when you're driving this car, even in sport mode. Once again, not having ever owned a performance car and driving so few of them, it might just skip my mind. But now that I'm comparing the two, after such a short amount of time between when I've driven both of them, like, I can now instantly see that. So now that I'm back after the drive, the big question on my mind has been, the two big questions on my mind has been, is the Yaris GR worth the 33.5 grand? And then the second question is, if I went back in time, having driven both these cars as like test drives, would I rather pick the Yaris GR over picking the Merc? So those are the two interesting questions. Would I say the car is worth 33 grand? I think so, 100%. It's very quick, very nippy, very light, very fun to drive. It's super fun to drive. I can't even lie. Very, very, very fun to drive. Bear in mind, once again, I didn't even push that car that much because it wasn't even my car, and I had loads of fun. Because if I'm considering paying the same amount of money for this, I mean, like I said, the main difference is what do you want a car for. So if it comes down to the looks and stuff, then you're definitely gonna want to pick the Merc, 100%. Like, the looks in the Merc are crazy. Like, the looks just, it is the USP for this car. It is the USP for the car. A bit of technology as well, things like the parking and all that kind of stuff. Would I have got the Yaris over the Merc? I don't know, because I know you can also get other hot hatches around the same price that I probably would get over the Yaris GR. So I don't know, because I know you could probably get, you know, used GTIs, maybe even Golf Rs for around the same price. So if I was forced to get one of the cars between the two, I think I'll get the Yaris GR. I think I'll get the Yaris GR. And it was definitely a tough decision to come to, but the main thing I keep thinking of when it comes to this is how bored I am of this car. Like, I'm unimaginably bored of this car, and I've been bored of this car. This is my second year into the car now, and I've been bored of this car for a while. Once again, it's not been no secret on this channel, or if you follow me on Instagram, make sure you follow me on Instagram down below. I feel like I either wouldn't have been bored of that car by now, or I would have got bored a lot later and a lot less than I have been bored of this car, if I'm going to be completely honest. So yeah, having driven both these cars, I actually think I would rather get the Yaris GR. Once again, going back to kind of the start of the video, it's who are you and what do you want from a car? I'm more of a petrol head. I had so much fun in that car. I can't say I've ever had that much fun in this car ever. Not even once. You know, not even like my first time on a motorway or whatever. I can't say I've ever had that much fun ever. Yes, again, there are perks of having this car as opposed to that car. Yes, again, this car, I would personally say, looks wise, is better. But yeah, I think I would probably rather go with the Yaris GR. Now, there are small quality of life things in this car that I wish the Yaris GR had. Small things such as, I don't believe there were heated seats in that car, or electric seats, and I guess self-parking, and a sunroof. Really important, sunroof. Other than that though, yeah, like, the lights and stuff are cool in this car, but it gets boring. You know, all this stuff, it entertains people that are new to the car, and other people that come in the car, they really love it, of course. But to me, that's not enough to fulfill my excitement anymore. When I first got the car, yes. Now, no, definitely not. Definitely not. I would give all this away for the performance, the power, the sound. That was more fun to me. Like I said, as soon as I got into the Yaris GR, I didn't even connect up my Bluetooth. So that's saying something. But also, again, I haven't owned the Yaris GR, so maybe I would have got bored of it a lot quicker. Who knows? I don't know. There's only one way to find out when I get my performance car. But as of right now, from what I know from having this car for nearly 2 years and having driven other performance cars, I think I would go with the performance, honestly. I think I would go with the performance, honestly. So that's it, Fast Gang. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Once again, make sure you drop a like, drop a comment, and drop a subscribe. That's my verdict on the car. I think if it was between the two cars, I would rather pick the Yaris GR over this beautiful A-Class. It's a beautiful car, but it does get boring. For me personally, being a petrol head, being the type of person I am, I think what fulfills my needs more would go towards the Yaris. As a regular everyday person, I think they would most probably, I'd probably bet 99% of the time to 1% of the time, they would probably rather go for the A-Class. But the Yaris isn't ugly enough to where the beauty of this kind of overshadows the performance and the fun. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, the Yaris isn't even ugly. It's just, this is super beautiful. I'm really glad the Yaris had a nice interior, because I think that then could have been a deal breaker. Because you have to remember, when you have a car, you're going to spend the majority of your time inside the car. So the interior of a car is really important. I think the Yaris did a great job for what it's worth. It can't compete with the Mercedes, no way. But it's still done a great job, especially considering other Toyotas I've seen and been in. I've been inside a Prius as well. Like I said, I've been inside the Igo. But that was really actually nice. It was really cool. My verdict is, if I could go back in time having driven both these cars, I think I would actually go for the swap and get the performance car. Yeah, if you have a Yaris down below and you've also driven a Merc, or just off watching these videos, you can give a verdict of what you think. Make sure you drop a comment down below. Also, what I'm going to try and do is maybe on another day, try and have another chance to go in the car, maybe go on an M-Way, or even somewhere just I can kind of open out the car just a little bit more. Maybe have him here, find a way to mount the camera, or somewhere I can put the camera that will be safe and not fly everywhere, maybe if he's holding it. Also try and get him in the driver's seat, because he's way more of an experienced driver than I am. He's a sick driver, he's a crazy driver. I mean, we live in London, he's not a crazy driver.
I'm joking.
And yeah, just kind of see how that goes, because I think that'll be really fun, and that'll be a really fun video to get on the channel at some point. Once again, drop a like, drop a comment, drop a subscribe. Thanks for watching, Fast Gang. That's it. That's me. I'm out. Don't forget, go watch my gaming page if you want to see some gaming stuff, or you just want to see what I've been up to. I've been uploading super regularly on there. Follow me on Instagram, FastKXR, down below in the bottom left, or down in the comments section below. And that's it, Fast Gang. I'm outie. Peace.
Meet me in the bathroom stall if you're down for it, or take 2 more shots, cause I'm down for a blow. Key check, phone check, while I'm missing my heart, late pain through